everyone. Today I've got my Spiral from the Book of Saw movie review. A detective investigates a series of murders that look like something the Jigsaw Killer committed in the past. Like any franchise that has gone this far, all I have to ask is, had enough yet? So as far as the story goes, this not sequel and more like a spin-off of the Saw franchise is one that looks and feels like Saw, but in a completely different way. Like the OG Jigsaw got killed off and appointed another person to take their place, and then years later that person got bored and a completely new killer is up for the challenge. But I think the biggest challenge was having to live or die up to the expectations that came with making another Saw type of movie, because the way they were sort of marketing this movie, it was kind of like Saw, but they just wanted to put the name in there so that way people can identify with it. I don't know. But at times, it is a Saw movie in the gory horror aspect that we all, are familiar with. Then, once the story involves several cops versus one detective, then you don't know which part you want to invest your time in. I think I preferred this Saw movie that focuses on the detective because you want to know more about him and what his role is in this murder case that all these other cops seem to, look the other way and not really show too much of a reaction to what's happening. And I think they should, considering that they're sort of all getting on the chopping block, because we need victims in this movie here. They tend to use flashbacks to give this one character, more of background. And then at the same time, I wanted to see what still makes this a Saw movie instead of a police procedural, and that didn't disappoint, shockingly. So, as far as the casting goes, Chris Rock as the lead detective on the case was surprisingly good in this. I mean, I knew from watching him in the first trailer, I was like, okay, I don't know if I should be on the fence, but he kind of looks good in this role, because I feel like it's never been done before, and it's different, and I liked him getting in his serious element, even though he's sort of talking back to all these cops that are mean to him, and when he has to put up with his partner as well as all these other mean cops. But, I think he did a pretty good job in this movie, even though I feel like he has to do, all these things by himself and go in these scenarios alone. Samuel L. Jackson is nice to see here. I mean, hey, if he drops an F-bomb, I guess you're gonna love him no matter what he says or what he does. And he's also playing Chris Rock's dad, so that's cool too, because it was a small performance. So what more could you possibly ask from Samuel L. Jackson? And I have to point out, for those fans of Handmaid's Tale, Nick was in here, and I just liked seeing him here. I thought he was so good in this movie as well. So it was surprising to see what he was capable of. The things that I liked about this movie was that it, like all the other Saw movies, I feel like this had many creative ways to torture the victims, and it was so gruesome that I actually had to turn away, which was a first for me during a Saw movie, and I couldn't believe how just bloody disgusting it was. And it seemed to escalate and get crazier as the movie went on. Good thing this movie wasn't that long, because I don't know how much more I could possibly take. It was giving me some Serious 7 vibes, and just seeing, the way that it was filmed and the way that it looked. I just loved the camera work, and it sort of made you feel like you were in a spiral and trapped in it. And it does keep you guessing until the very end of who could possibly be the man or woman behind the mask. And you might have been somebody who figured it out right away, and I could see where that would happen too. But unfortunately, the things that I didn't really like about this movie was that at what point do you stop and think, hey, maybe that's the killer because they keep disappearing from the shot, or this might be the next victim because they keep running their mouth. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that the characters' actions and dialogue were coming off as somewhat cheesy, and I couldn't really take them seriously half the time. And then again, who takes a Saw movie seriously? Unless this movie is trying to be something it's not. And even though they were seemingly revamping this series by not calling it Saw and calling it Spiral, it's, you know, clearly trying to be a copycat. You know what happens. Being a copycat killer is never going to live up to the hype of the OG killer. So overall, I would say that, you know, this was a decent movie. I really was I was going in expecting a lot worse. So I can't say I'm glad that I saw it, but at least I don't have to see it again after the one and only watch. So I actually would recommend seeing this movie. I mean, whether or not you're a fan of this franchise, if you're not a fan, you probably won't see this, but if you are, you might want to check it out. So I would give this 2.5 hearts on the heart rate scale. So let me know in the comments what you guys thought of Spiral from the Book of Saw. And as always, you guys can subscribe to my channel. I've got more movie reviews, movie updates, come back every week for a Chill Thursday video. You guys can also like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter, and I will see you guys later.